Hello everyone and welcome to the Northern American European Server Summer Tournament. And today I will be here, the Gaming Grizzly, and on my side I have the beautiful co-host, my beautiful friend. Dude, it's so nice to have you back on my side right here. It is,
That's
of
me.
course, Persuadable. Yes, that's you.
Good to be back, Grizzly. Good to be with you on live feed. Let's have a good time.
Oh, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna see some amazing teams play against each other. Actually, we're gonna find out who the top team on our server will be. Today, we're gonna see Coltgun versus Eternal Soul, as well as Atlas versus Caniara. I hope I say the names right. I can always pull the German card. I'm from Germany. I don't know how to pronounce anything.
This is going to be so remarkable. This is going to be a remarkable 6-day stretch. So today we should be seeing Coltgun versus Eternal Soul. Very excited to see this match play. Eternal Soul, to my knowledge, has the number 2. I'm going to mess this up between Gravekeeper and I'm going to get this all. Gamekeeper, Gravekeeper, Gravedigger. How are we supposed to get this all down? And I'm very excited to see some of this gameplay today. Remember, this is day 1 of a 6-day stretch for this tournament. We're going to see 4 teams in total, go head-to-head in a 3-round elimination for each.
That's gonna be so good. I'm super excited for that. Not gonna lie, dude, I am super excited to see all these teams. It's just the same thing with all the tournaments, just seeing these top players competing against each other, especially with the changes that are always coming to the game, with all the updates, with the patch. There's always a new way to play and a new way to use characters. And thanks to these tournaments, everyone gets to see how the top players adjust to these patches, adjust to these updates. And dude, I'm excited. Not gonna lie, we're gonna see some very interesting gameplay. And I hope that I can learn a lot, and I hope that, we all know that you're kind of the tactical guy. You know what's going on. I really hope that you can, explain to everyone what is going on the field and give us a little bit of a, learning session.
All right, so I'll do my best. One of the things to be reminded by is that the tournaments are always a great opportunity for all of us to learn. And I'm not just saying that to be positive. I mean that genuinely, historically speaking, with precedents, we learn new strategies and different sort of ways to play these characters. We've seen this 2 years ago, all the way from Ripper, all the way until now, and I expect to see more Bonbon.
Dude, I want to see more Bonbon. Not gonna lie, I was trying to get better with Bonbon. I'm not the best, dude. I'm not hitting these bombs, at least not all of the times. Rather like only if I'm lucky. But he's a super fun character. We saw him being utilized more often recently, so I definitely expect to see him more often. But when we are talking about picks and bans on the Hunter side, I still think that we're gonna see a lot of Bloody Queen.
For sure, we'll see Bloody Queen and Dream Witch by the teams that are, especially who are reaching towards the further rounds. We've seen that also over in the Chinese pro leagues as well, who usually set the stone for strategy within this game.
And there we go. Here you can see the picks and bans, and on the map. On the map side, we can see we have the Arms Factory. Top right, you can see it. Map pick is the Arms Factory. And this is the first round. In the first round, we only have a Survivor ban. As you can see right here, Cowboy is being banned. And we can see that... Wait. Remaining... Persuadable, can you still hear me? I can't hear you. If you can hear me...
No, it's because I'm being quiet. Yeah, you're not used to me being quiet. I think you're doing a great job.
I was so confused. So what we can see now, I was waiting for this. We can see now the picks on the Survivor as well as on the Hunter side. We see this pretty common pick of the Seer. Usually the Seer is one of the most banned characters thanks to the Owl. He's just an absolute beast, improving the kiting time of other survivors. and mercenary, as well as the prisoner and the enchantress. On the hunter side, on the other side, we're gonna see what is happening there.
Right, we're going to see a lot of Arms Factory being played. It's a very heavily favored map, especially for a lot of hunters, particularly the Blood Queens, the Bonbons, and the Dream Witches. I'm very surprised that we see Cowboy being banned first, but one of the things we need to be reminded of is that these teams have had time to study each other. Maybe there's a Cowboy main in there that we're not familiar with. And just as you said, typically in round one, we're going to see a survivor being banned. There's going to be no hunter bans at this point in time in the rounds. And usually you are correct. You would usually either see a mercenary, a seer, or believe it or not, mechanic. Mechanics actually heavily still banned even after the nerf within top competitive gameplay. Not in legendary rank mode, but definitely in tournament gameplay. And for that to be a Cowboy is a very interesting selection. But again, these players have had time to study each other, to study each other's team composition. And we're going to really see what Wolf pulls out of the hat here in regards to their main hunter.
Exactly, as you already said, those teams, they definitely had enough time to study each other, and there is a reason Cowboys being banned. But I would love to hear your opinion on the prisoner in this team. We weren't able to see the prisoner in previous tournaments, so I'm actually super excited to see his abilities in this team composition right here.
A lot of prisoners are being used more, at least on the Northern American European server in regards to the legendary rank mode. As to his placement within the actual tournament landscape, what I can tell you is that traditionally speaking, and actually as of now, mechanic is usually more favored than prisoner in top competitive gameplay. But there may be room for prisoner and those sort of team comps to work out that we haven't really seen be utilized to the fullest potential. Really, that's what these tournaments kind of do. It's something that I mentioned before about how tournaments really can set the stone for future sort of competitive strategies and competitive gameplays. I wouldn't suggest that this is the only time we're going to see prisoner in this tournament. And I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth between teams in regards to whether they're going to use mechanic or whether they're going to emphasize on this prisoner use. One of the benefits of using prisoner is that one little tiny stun that he gets. Obviously, there's other ways that works. But that can really change the game. But mechanics still, with their mechanical doll, is usually more heavily favored despite the nerf, and we'll see. And we see that Hellember is going to be utilized as the hunter.
That's actually, at least for me, quite surprising seeing the Hellember being utilized. Okay, so it seems like there was a little bit of a problem with the picks and bans right here. And therefore, we just need to, give the teams and everyone in the background a little bit more time to fix this. We will most likely not see a Hellember at the very beginning of this tournament.
Yeah, no, absolutely with that. And with the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to do the best that we can right now to cover for them. So the question for you, Grizzly, do you think you're going to see a feaster within this tournament?
I absolutely hope so. Dude, of course, I'm hoping for a feaster because he's definitely my favorite hunter. He still is my favorite hunter. Even if I have to admit that I was playing Guard 26, I did not betray the feaster, but I just enjoy, running around as Guard 26, throwing around these bombs. And therefore, I'm actually super excited to see maybe some feaster gameplay, maybe some Guard 26 gameplay. But of course, dude, the gameplay in general will be absolutely fantastic because the top players, they will compete against each other. They will show us some top gameplay no matter what character they will pick.
I agree.
Seems like the technical issues might take a little bit longer to fix, but hey, that's fine. That's fine. It's day one. We all try to figure out everything. It's not, dude. That's just what happens sometimes. We just have to talk a little bit about what we can expect. So, since we are talking about feaster, what do
let's
you want
change the
to
subject to. I want to talk about what we're going to see in terms of the meta with these hunters. So here's what we're going to see. we're going to see a lot of the teams that are utilizing Dream Witch, the teams that are using Blood Queen, those teams are really going to advance. Those are right now, arguably, not even arguably, the best hunters in the game. Trying to manage against a Dream Witch, trying to manage against a Blood Queen is extremely difficult. So those two hunters are the ones to be matched against, or rather not to be matched against, but we're going to see those bans really coming down hard. However, the thing is that a lot of these teams, they've done a lot of personal research on their opponents. These brackets got released, I think about a week ago, give or take. So we may not only just see Dream Witch and Blood Queen being banned, you may see instances where teams are banning individual characters that are relative to what people specialize in. And that's something that's really important because typically speaking, you normally see Dream Witch and Blood Queen heavily banned. But if there is a hunter out there that really specializes in Ripper, don't be surprised if we start seeing those sort of bans in round 3. Round 3 is what's going to be very interesting because that's kind of like the ace in the pocket, so to speak. And what I'm interested in seeing is, are the people who specialize in those A tier hunters, are they going to be able to really bring the heat to those who have specialized and taken the time to really master Blood Queen and Dream Witch? We do know that Blood Queen, Dream Witch, and now Bon are typically winning most of the tournaments all across the globe. So the question is that for some of these hunters who specialized in Feaster or specialize in Ripper, are they going to be able to compete against the teams that have taken the time to master the hunters that are really right now currently winning tournaments? The problem with Ripper, the problem with some of those other hunters that we used to use back in the day that are S tier, they no longer have map presence. Survivors have been changed. And that's why you're seeing those other hunters kind of phasing out. So right now, it's my prediction that by the time we get to the finals, I wouldn't be surprised if we're primarily seeing Dream Witch and Blood Queen users. But again, we have a lot of good survivors and a lot of good hunters out there that have a good way of taking these sort of A-tier hunters and specializing them and taking them to a completely different level. We saw Roxton back in the day, who's also in this tournament, do that with Feaster on the international stage, got really close to becoming a top 4 team. So that's what I'm interested in seeing. Are the good hunters that you and I know who are specializing in those hunters such as Ripper and Wu Chang, or Ripper and Feaster in the early rounds? I'm not talking about round 3, 4, and 5. I'm talking about these specialists who start round 1 and 2 with these A-tier hunters. Are they going to be able to compete with these teams that have S-tier hunters who are in the top 5? And that's what's going to be interesting, because before some of the Chinese Pro League, most of the time we saw Blood Queen and Dream Witch winning. But now we see Bon coming in out of nowhere on those smaller maps, really wreaking havoc. What do you think, Grizzly? Give me your advice.
You basically just said what we could reflect on the Call of the Abyss 3 tournament. We saw a lot of Bloody Queens, we saw a lot of Dream Witch, and they were really dominating. When it came to the Hunter picks, when it came to the meta picks, there was just, Bloody Queen being utilized quite often, and especially in the later games, during the first rounds, they were usually picking the Bloody Queen or the Dream Witch, because, why not use one of or arguably the strongest hunter as long as you can, as long as the other team is not banning that hunter. Why not using her and trying to get the 4K early in the match? And yeah, I can only agree what you just said, because we saw that during the Call of the Abyss 3 tournament, and I totally think that we will see that during this summer tournament as well.
And what's also interesting, and what we need to remind the viewers, is that the team who wins the coin toss can really choose between whether their hunter goes first or whether they choose map selection. And something to remember too is that, again, the first conversation that we were just having in regards to A-tier hunters such as Feaster, etc., you have to ask yourself, if I'm going to go against a team who specializes in Feaster, is it better to pick a smaller map, thinking that my hunter can also get a 4-man? Or is it actually better to pick a larger map so we know that their primary hunter, before, because in first round we can't ban anybody, is it better to pick a larger map so we know that those hunters that have slow movement speed are going to be disadvantaged? And this is where the strategical gameplay must come from these survivors and hunters and teams. They really need to choose whether they're going to be small map, large map, relative to what these survivors and hunters are going to choose. And I think that's a very important point. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more mercenary bans and bomb players at some point. Take it away, Grizzly.
And here we can see the entire match was restarted. We can again see top right, the map that is selected is the Arms Factory. We can see the Cowboy will be banned again. We can most likely see the same Survivor team that we saw before, which was Priestess, Enchantress, Seer and Mercenary. But what I am curious to see is Wolf's pick on the Hunter side. So again, the Prisoner that's actually the first time that I'm going to see the Prisoner in a tournament environment. And that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to see on how these top teams use the Prisoner in these circumstances, tournament circumstances. So here we have the team that I was just referring to, the Enchantress. We still miss the Prisoner. We have the Seer, we have the Mercenary. What do you think will we see? Will we see the Bloody Queen as we just speculated in the first round, in the first match?
Unfortunately, I don't know too much about these two individual clans, but again, this is where it comes down to whether this is going to be a hunter that specializes in the typical meta, or is this a hunter that has spent an incredible amount of time focusing on some of the others. Especially with Arms Factory. With Arms Factory, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I usually consider Arms Factory more of a hunter-sided map. Some people disagree with me on that, and that's fine, because you also got to remember not all hunters are created equal. Some have a lot more map presence, but when I go on Arms Factory, I really get worried about if I'm going against that Dream Witch, going against that Bloody Queen. So, and what we can see here is we see that Seer, Mercenary, Prisoner, and we see that Enchantress, and again, that Cowboy ban. It's a very interesting ban for round one. Usually, again, what we see that Mercenary, the Mechanic, or the Seer typically.
Exactly. So we are just waiting on the Hunter. You already mentioned my beloved Feaster right there. What do you actually want to see? Do you have a little bit of an underdog when it comes to the Hunters that you would love to see during this tournament?
So honestly, Photographer. I'd really like to see a Photographer.
He can be extremely powerful, that's true. And we can see another Hellember pick. That seems to be...
Selection. So
let's just see what is going on. Let's...
So we're gonna load right in here to Arms Factory. Don't worry, we are waiting for all of this to load as well. And we see he's spawning in a point called the Ruins. We call this a Group 3. So this is a Group 3 spawn with the Hellember. And where he's usually going to go, if you go towards the factory over here, there's two people who spawn there and one person that spawns right in the middle. So this, depending on which hunter you have, this is a really good spawn point because you have 3 survivors who are really right close near to you. You see that swing just in case if somebody was camping that area, but he's going to take this down. And that's one of the things that's really good about Prisoner is it forces you to take that down and you can really buy a lot of time.
Please keep going. I'm getting a little bit of freeze frames right now. Please jump in.
Yeah, sure. So what he's going to do is he's going to rotate over here to the Ruins. The Enchantress, I believe that is going to try to circle around to this pallet. Now remember, Hellember is very difficult in the beginning. Beautiful move from the Hellember right there. Gets the hit. Again, that's one of the things when it comes to kiting. It gets really difficult in regards to whether you think the hunter is going to swing or not. And some hunters actually argue that for some of these hunters, the most important swing is that first swing in the game. Do you walk right through the pallet and hope that they don't throw it down? Or do you swing at the pallet and hope that they throw the pallet down? And that's exactly what worked in his favor. And we're going to see, so he tried to do it again. And right there you see a real good discipline from the Seer, but we also have an excellent blink from the Hellember. And again, a Hellember gets really scary once he gets fed up. Once he's fed, he has a lot of good defense against the rocket chairs that are somewhat undervalued by the community, but not really, because it's really difficult against top teams to really bring that presence up. But again, you get a good swing, you predict the movements of the survivors like this Hellenberg is doing. It goes a real long way. And we're going to see how good he's going to be in regards to defending these rocket chairs once he gets somebody done, or down rather. But we see that Enchantress has this, good stun right there, and she's still going to have one left, and she should be ready to use it again, and she's going to do a good job looping this area, using that left to right build most likely in order to really get a good boost. And we can see that Hellenberg is looking around, and is he going to throw this? Where is he? He might throw this towards middle, and he might try to come down and get a Terror Shock on the way down, but nope, didn't do it. Looks like it hit that tree right there. And again, something to remember too, Hellenberg, he's getting like 6 buffs, I think, last that I checked. Once that update comes out, he's going to have a lot of changes coming towards him that helps him in the early game. But really, you can see the survivors are doing a good job at prioritizing taking these ciphers down. And we're going to see what this Hellenberg can do. He's going to go after this mercenary. Is this mercenary going to use an elbow pad? He does. Good job from the mercenary, making sure you're not taking an unnecessary hit. Very interesting. A lot of times mercenaries are so worried about using their elbow pads, they don't use them, but then they end up getting hit. So you're better off just using them so you can avoid the hit, so nobody has to go and heal you up. So excellent move from there. This Hellenberg strategy, I think the survivors are starting to read him a little bit, because what's going on now is he has a strategy where he really likes to swing at these pallets. And there's nothing wrong with that strategy. It's a strategy that's helping him out in the beginning of the match. But if survivors catch on to that, then they're going to wade into the corner of a pallet, and they're not going to expect you to run through. So that's where the kiting aspect of this game gets really, really interesting. What do you do? Do you throw that pallet down, or do you not? So let's see what he's going to do. He's going to move over here. Now this area is going to be actually changed soon. This map is going to be recalibrated. Actually, I think that's happening next week, if I recall. And we're going to see how he works over here. These survivors are doing a good job at trying to take these ciphers down. And this Hellenberg's looking to see where he needs to go. He's going to change to teleport. Still hasn't gotten anyone on the rocket chair yet. And really, the survivors are doing a good job at rotating. Survivors are doing a good job at communicating with one another. And you see that strategy again where you're swinging at the pallets. Again, that's helped them in the early game. Nothing wrong with that strategy. It's just a choice that you have to make. Good job from that to take down the pallet. Yep, he throws the pallet down. Let's see where Seer is going to run towards. He's going to throw that down. Probably put some distance and force him to take it down. Now Hellenberg is going to use this puppet over here. And he's really doing a good job at trying to get to the different sides of the map. I mean, remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is not easy using a Hellenberg all the time. But he has pretty good controls with this Hellenberg, and really the survivors are doing a good job at that rotation and really separating these ciphers across the map to force him to really move around. And that is so important, so incredibly important. They have one cipher remaining, and really forcing him to move around here, taking these puppets down. They're not trying to rush it. They're really making sure that they take these puppets down and force him to actually have to manually move his body around the map instead of being able to have that ability to constantly teleport and be able to pick up the puppet. So we see that this is down. They pop the cipher. Here we go. So this is an important point. He needs to at least get one survivor down. You do not want to have a four-person elimination. Four-person elimination equals 5 points. Put your team in a really big rut. So we're going to see what the Seer is going to do. And is he going to go to factory? Just to be careful, he may not. Let's see what the Hellenberg is going to do. Hellenberg is moving over here to the side. No one's there. And he has teleport available now. Is he going to use these? Okay, so they got 3 people who escaped. And we got to see if the Seer is going to be able to get out of here. I think Seer is looking for basement right now. And I don't have control over these characters, ladies and gentlemen. So yep, there we go. That is a 4-man escape. Excellent job from the survivors. Early game there, really decent rotation, being able to rotate into where the hunter initially spawned. That is usually a strategy that you'll see, because a lot of hunters, once they move away from those spawns, they don't really go back, which was interesting that Hellenberg juked back, but he did a good job at doing so because he predicted that the Enchantress would be there. Remember, that is a group 3 spawn right there. And what we can see here, 4 pallets destroyed, 4 strikes, even across the decoding, which was Really good from the survivors, really good decoding. You can see the mercenary, 139%. That's really good for a mercenary, especially with that decrease in decoding. And really, you're seeing the reason why we're probably going to have that buff with Hellember. That early game can be really difficult with them. But you know what? I think Wolf had a pretty strong early game in regards to building up that presence and really trying to maximize the ability to use those puppets and teleporting across them. But Survivors did a really good job at countering that, really slowing the game down a little bit, not just rushing Ciphers and making sure that they don't take those puppets down. And that really hindered his ability to get across the map. So excellent job from these players and a good round one. And we can see once again that the winners of this is going to be Eternal Soul, taking 5 points. And remember that this is a round-based tournament. So really what we need to see is we need Coltgun to also get a 4-person victory over Eternal Soul's Hunter. And if they don't, that round goes towards the Hunter. How we doing, Grizzly? How'd you like that?
Oh, perfect, perfect. Dude, in the middle of the match, we figured out everything. And I was like, Persuader is doing such a phenomenal job. And I remember when you were giving me an entire match during the Call of the Abyss 2 tournament, I was like, you know what? Let's just leave Persuable right there. He is doing a great job. And I can only agree what you just said. This is a 5-point round for this team right here, and they need to counter. On the Survivor side now, they need to counter this match with another 4 Survivor escape. Because as the first point is going the opponent's team, and that was actually really, really interesting to see from what I was seeing, because again, I had a little bit of a laggy stream right here. We fixed everything. I hope I can, say something as well in the future matches. But from what I have seen is that the Survivor team was coordinating very well. We were able to bring down the Cypher machines without really getting in any trouble right there. Not a single Survivor was on the rocket chair as far as I recall, right? And that's a really, really good match for the Survivors right here. And I'm curious to see if now, they change positions. We now have the Hunter, if they can recreate that on the Hunter side, or if the Survivors will now outplay the Hunter as well.
Right, we're having Eternal Soul pop up now as the Hunters, and they have a really good Hunter. I believe it's the number 2 gamekeeper. And if that's the case, I believe their strategy is to usually utilize peepers. So we'll see how that strategy will work, but we never know. That might be in the later rounds. Right now, one thing is for certain is that this Hunter just needs to really try to eliminate one person. Now, I want to go back to that Arms Factory match. Something to remember, again, we call that a group 3 layout. When you're a Hunter and you spawn in the shack, when you spawn in the ruins, so we call that area ruins. Some people call it sandbag ruins because sandbags are over there. Really, the spawn point, you have 2 people directly in front of you and one immediately over in the box there. And so it gives you a lot of pressure on the Survivors very early in the match. And he used that to his advantage, where he decided, instead of going towards the 2 in the corner by Factory, understanding that if both of them go in there, they can waste some of his time, he went towards the box. Different people have different strategies with that. And his ability to adapt and say, okay, you know what, I need to go back towards the sandbag ruins, and was able to secure that early hit against the Enchantress, was an important moment for him. But man, Survivors were really, really able to adapt to that, and they were able to rotate, and they were able to get those ciphers down, and really showing maybe some of that worth with Prisoner. Remember, that little attachment that Prisoner puts down slowed him down. He decided to take it down, which is usually the right thing to do, but it buys the individual in box a lot of time to move away from that. And it's one of those little things that adds to the benefit of utilizing Prisoner that I think is often underlooked, where it can buy your Survivors a little bit of time. So excellent gameplay from the Survivors, showing you the power of rotation and the ability to adapt.
So you just mentioned it, that was basically the spawn layout 3, you said, right? And
Yep,
there are a bunch of other spawn layouts. And would you say that this one is better for the Hunter or better for the Survivor? Or would you even say that there are any differences between the layouts when it comes to Hunter or Survivor sided?
So it depends, because within the map you have a 15-meter diameter where you spawn, And what I can tell you is one of the benefits of spawning right there is that I know exactly where 3 people are. In fact, I know where 4 are, but 3 are within reach, which gives you flexibility. The question is that specific spawn point going to change when Arm Factory changes in terms of its layout? Because we all know that Arms Factory, and if you don't know, Arms Factory is going to get that factory repositioned up. So one of the benefits of that spawn as a hunter is, especially as a photographer, as an example, is that you have a camera right there within 2 seconds, and you know where 3 survivors generally are. So that usually means that you would be able to hit 3 survivors as a photographer, usually, right? So it's going to dictate based on which survivors you're using, which hunters you're using. As a Blood Queen, that gives you an incredible amount of flexibility. I think it really comes down to the hunters and what they feel comfortable with. Some people don't remember the spawn points. What I would say is the benefit of that spawn point for the hunter, again, is that you have 3 survivors who are right within reach. 2 of them are clustered up. So if you do decide to pursue them towards factory, 50% of the team isn't really going to be decoding. And so different hunters will have different strategies. If you're a Blood Queen, you don't really have to worry about that too much because you can pop up a mirror. But if you're somebody like Gamekeeper or a different sort of hunter, you have to worry about those walls a little bit more. So that's something that people need to catch on to, is that spawn points actually benefit different hunters differently, just as maps benefit hunters differently. And there's only a few select hunters where none of that matters, especially on Leo's memory with Blood Queen. You can run routes on Leo's memory with Blood Queen and not worry about the route because you can recover if you don't do well or if the mercenary is there. But if you're a Ripper and you decide to go into a corner of the map and it ends up being mercenary and it's the only person on that side of the map, you need to reposition all the way to the other side of the map. And that's why a lot of hunters prefer Arms Factory, because it's a small map.
Makes a lot of sense. And I just want to throw something else in, because I don't really know if the rules are completely clear. This tournament will be based on rounds, which means if a team in the, for example, right now, today, we're going to have the best out of 3. Which means if one team wins 2 rounds, they have decided the entire match for themselves and will proceed into the next bracket. And that even means if they only got like 1 point and even the other team could switch it points wise, it doesn't matter. As long as the team has won 2 rounds, they're going to proceed. And this will change on the last day, on day 6, because we're going to have, during the finals, we're going to have a best out of 5, which means they have to get they have to get 3 victories to win this. So yeah, so far it looks pretty good for Eternal Soul, because they already got 5 points out of this first match. Coltgun needs to counter that with another 5 point with 5-point game as well, which means they need to escape with all of the survivors, to at least get the draw. If they are not able to get all survivors out of there, this will be the first, the first win for Eternal Soul. And of course, Eternal Soul knows that and can now concentrate on really doing one thing, bringing 1 survivor out of the game, because that gives them the winning point for round number 1. So I pretty much think that's what we are going to see. We're going to see Eternal Soul on the Hunter side. You already said it. He's a Gamekeeper main, right? Gamekeeper main. And I'm curious to see if we will see the Gamekeeper or maybe Bloody Queen. Or maybe any Hunter, to be honest. And my prediction is that they will definitely concentrate on 1 survivor, because that's all they need right now at this point.
It's going to force these survivors to have to play very reckless, going in for some sort of strategy. If I was in this position where I needed 1 survivor out, most likely on the second rescue, I'd probably send 2 survivors, even if it slows the decoding down, depending on the situation. Because again, you cannot afford 1 person to be eliminated, right? So just like you said, it's not a point system in the sense of how many points you have at the end of 3 rounds. You either win the round or you don't, and you need to win 2 out of 3 rounds. So the fact that they got that 4-person escape now forces this team to, at minimum, tie with a 4-person escape. So it's going to really cause them to play reckless. to try to pull some sort of strategy out. In fact, some teams actually have certain team layouts or certain character layouts for situations just like this. I know for a fact that there's certain teams that actually would utilize a cowboy in this situation just so they can get one of their teammates out of trouble. So this is where creativity sometimes has to come into play, but sometimes it's better to just play your normal self, play what's familiar to you. But to get a 4-man escape is very difficult, especially in tournament gameplay, especially with hunters that are running that trumps card and they have teleport in detention. They get that one good teleport, get that one detention hit. So it's going to be very difficult. So take it away now, Grizzly.
Exactly. And as you said, it's going to be extremely difficult. We all play Identity 5. Everyone who is watching is playing the game, and we all know how difficult it can be to get 4 survivors out of there, especially in a tournament environment. Right now we can see we have the same map as before. We have the Arms Factory. The survivor that is being banned is the lawyer, and on the survivor side, even with a lawyer ban, which well, I was at least expecting to see the Seer, Mercenary, maybe even the Mechanic, because these are just the meta picks when it comes to the survivors. But we are seeing a completely different survivor team. It is the Prisoner again, in combination with the Perfumer, the Cowboy, and the Priestess. And as you predicted it earlier, we are seeing a switch on the Hunter side. We just saw the Gamekeeper. Keep in mind, Persuadable mentioned it, Eternal Soul is having the number 2 Gamekeeper on our server. Right now, switching through a few Hunters, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's going back to the Gamekeeper before the game starts, or maybe even the Bloody Queen, since she is extremely powerful. But again, we have to remember, he only needs to get 1 survivor out of the game to win, to make this first round a victory for the entire team. It seems like I can't really take. We are back to the Gamekeeper. Just have to wait what he's picking. I mean, usually people are picking the Hunter, and that's like the pick. But no, seems like
no.
You were
doing a good job. You were doing a good job. It's just that seeing the name Ravioli making me hungry. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking at a ravioli and I just got it in my head, like, you know, red sauce? Red sauce ravioli?
I mean, he's probably hungry too. He's hungry for some victories.
I like the name, the ravioli, you know? But yeah, we see that lawyer ban. That's an interesting selection. But I think that the Gamekeeper knows he's trying to get just 1 elimination in order for him to win this round, bring it for Eternal Soul. And here we are. We are going to go to now the second match of round 1 for Eternal Soul and Coltgun. We will see where that spawn point is. Once it loads in, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you a little bit about it from more of a strategical standpoint, tell you the group number and some of the things to possibly expect with this sort of layout. And so where he's spawning now is what we call no man's land, I believe. And this is group number 6. So you're going to have somebody spawned by Shack over here, and somebody spawned kind of by middle and factory. And so, yeah, there we go. Beautiful.
Really, really beautiful look. Just getting straight up to the Cowboy right here. And he's trying to get away, get to the pallet. Being careful. All right, there. You already called it. Having the peepers right there to really get an understanding on where the survivors are. Pulling the Cowboy towards him, and the first hit is right there. Good job so far, really putting pressure on the Cowboy right here. Because again, survivors know they need to get all survivors through the exit gate. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. Yeah.
And we will see what this Cowboy is able to pull off in this area. Very, very good area for the Cowboy to be. See if he can lasso over him.
Good job.
Lasso's right in there. Beautiful move from that Cowboy.
Ooh, what a juke. Really good job. But we can see the Gamekeeper just coming through the window as well. Bring down the Cowboy. Now bring him to the Cypher machine. And we can also see that the Perfumer is quite close to the Cowboy. Decoding over there.
This is the biggest counter strategy towards a Cowboy too, by the way, is that the best way to beat a Cowboy team is to find them first. And don't be too surprised if you see Hunters on Arms Factory. Beautiful hook. She's going to perfume though. Don't be too surprised if you see hunters who actually just circle around the small map just to find the cowboy first so they don't have to deal with it. Depend on the team composition.
And we can see he's going back to protect that cowboy on the chair. But unfortunately, Perfumer took a lot of hits right there, making it a little difficult to rescue. And we can see that actually no one is circling in for a rescue. It seems like Prisoner and Priestess are just concentrating on decoding right here, which really gives Ravioli a good chance to get the first survivor out of there. I don't see anyone going in for the rescue.
Right, so this is more of a strategy that would work in legendary rank mode. If somebody goes down and you feel like you're not going to be able to rescue them, it's better to just go and decode and then do possibly one long-term rescue, or rather one late rescue, because then you can catch up on the whole decoding thing and go for a tie. But when it comes to a tournament like this, they're really looking for all 4 survivors to escape, so that strategy isn't going to really work as well. And so, if I recall correctly, within the rules, this means that this hunter, they have won within this round because they got that one survivor down, which is what they were going for.
Exactly. That's what I just meant. Cowboy out of the game makes this the victory for the first round for Eternal Soul, but can still see Ravioli is going in with the Gamekeeper, double hooking the Prisoner right there, giving him the half damage that he needs to, make him go down with a normal hit. Prisoners on the chair, we can see Ravioli is finding the Perfumer again, who is not really in a good position to rescue the Prisoner. So Priestess might be able to go through to circle around the map to rescue, but Prisoner's already halfway down.
Yep, and we see that was a beautiful hook right through that. That was very good, and this is why Gamekeeper, after the adjustment, you got to be careful. I remember, for a while there, we'd always say, "I'll never die to a Gamekeeper." Are you kidding me? we used to laugh at Gamekeepers and we'd have fun. You post up the video on YouTube. Now after the adjustment with Gamekeeper, you're like, I don't think I'm gonna be playing as much.
That's really true. That's really true. I'm seeing a lot of Gamekeepers lately. The buff really made him a playable character even in tournament situations like this, as we can clearly see right here. We have the Prisoner over there. Gamekeeper knows that he is in this area, leaves the Priestess on the ground, hitting the Prisoner right here, and that might be it. It's going back to the Priestess. She's healing up at around 70% right now, I would say. Not really able to get up in time. So what we're gonna see is right now Ravioli bringing the Priestess to the rocket chair. Prisoner actually might be able to get up in time, but since the Gamekeeper knows where the survivor is down, that's a really difficult, really difficult situation for the survivor.
This hunter did a really good job at being able to locate these survivors right away. Again, one of the good strategies against the Cowboys is to try to find that cowboy immediately, early game. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that's called a Group 6 layout. Where he originally spawned, it was called No Man's Land. That's also going to get readjusted. They're going to add an environment over there. Pretty big rock and a wall with a pallet that's going to be really strong for the survivor. So that should be coming next week. But within that spawn point of Group 6, just like I said, very popular strategy to go towards Shack, because the only other area, there's nobody even on the other side of the map. They're within factory. They're all on that side, so they're all clustered there. And again, we can see an amazing 15 strikes from Ravioli. Excellent job from this hunter. I mean, the longest kite session was 54 seconds, really showing you the danger of Ravioli's Gamekeeper. And we can see that did a really good job at pressuring that cowboy in the beginning. What was your most favorite moment in that match, Grizzly?
Dude, I always, as you just said, Gamekeeper was not really the best pick when it came to the hunter side, but nowadays it can be extremely dangerous, and we saw when he was hooking the Prisoner twice before actually hitting him and bringing him down. That is also a really good strategy when it comes to playing as Gamekeeper. Just hooking twice, giving a little bit of damage each time, and then bringing down the survivor right there. All in all, I was pretty surprised that they didn't even try to rescue the first survivor, the cowboy who was on the rocket chair, because We know what is on the line right here. If you're not getting all survivors out of there, this gives Eternal Soul the victory for the first round. So I was expecting kind of rescuing everyone at all costs. Even if we are losing, don't let anyone die on a rocket chair. And that was kind of the case. We saw the cowboy right there. Perfumer was nearby, but not really able to do anything. And everyone else was focusing on decoding. I was actually surprised to see that, not gonna lie.
I think that's a fair statement, though, because again, you need to make sure that all your survivors can come out. That strategy is a very popular one in Legendary Rank mode. Like I said, if somebody goes down, you don't really think that enough progress has been done on the ciphers, then 3 people can focus on that, get down to 2, yes, and go in for a last one. Perfumer did try to go in, did a good job at trying to go in, but Gamekeeper shut her down, and it really showed the ability for the Gamekeeper to predict where the survivor was and which route they were coming from. Very popular strategy for hunters to look around the map and to see which ciphers are wiggling and which ciphers don't wiggle. And you can actually predict based on that where the survivor most likely is coming from. That's a high tier strategy and one that Ravioli probably used to their advantage, as well as being able to use that tinnitus to really see where the survivor is going to come from. And again, Perfumer did a good job at trying to put that perfume after the hook. But again, Ravioli did an amazing job at predicting that perfume and not swinging immediately and being able to time that correctly in order to shut down any sort of rescue attempt.
Exactly. And there we go. That was the first round of Coltgun versus Eternal Soul. Just to make it very clear, Eternal Soul is right now an advantage. They have 1 point. They won the first round, which basically pushes Coltgun to, win the second round if they want to proceed into the third round and maybe even getting the victory for this fight between these 2 teams. So far, it really looks good for Eternal Soul, but everything can change. We just have to wait and see. I am looking forward to these teams because we saw this in other tournaments. We saw how one team was extremely dominating and then just slowly, the other team just slowly coming back and just turning around everything. Maybe that's going to happen. Curious to see if they're banning the cowboy again or seeing the lawyer ban. I have to be really honest. I am a little bit surprised that we didn't see a Dream Witch or a Bloody Queen so early in the rounds. But
well, that's what we spoke about before is about how Bloody Queen and Dream Witch are usually the preferred hunters, but you have a lot of specialist hunters who are in this tournament. You have specialist hunters who are top rippers. You have specialist hunters. We just saw Ravioli being a really good see, I'm going to do it. I keep almost saying Gravekeeper, a really good gamekeeper. We see people like Roxanne who are really good feaster players, right? So you're going to see a lot of specialist hunters. And that's why I said it's going to be very important to emphasize that although there are traditionally Bonbon and Dream Witch and Bloody Queens that typically, as of now, are winning tournaments, you have specialty hunters as well.
Exactly. And I think it is time for a short break before we jump into round 2. So we will see you in about 5 minutes. And here we are again. We will shortly jump into round number 2 of Eternal Soul versus Coltgun. So far we saw Eternal Soul winning the first round, getting 4 survivors through the exit gate, as well as eliminating 4 survivors as the gamekeeper. Great job on both sides right there. I have to say that the cowboy was... You can't really blame the cowboy. Did you see the cowboy's lasso trick through the window right there? He was really trying to get away from the gamekeeper, choking him, getting over the window. But, you know, Eternal Soul's gamekeeper just doing a fantastic job focusing on the cowboy, following him and bringing him down after all.
Can we talk about what gamekeeper did there, though? Can we talk about what he did? Can we do it? Can we do it, boo-boo? Can we do it? Because we're about to do it. Here's what happened. Gamekeeper knew what was going to happen, and he did a very, very important thing. A very important thing. He hops the window and pretty much doesn't move. Allows the lasso instead of charging forward so he can immediately go back and vault that window. Yeah. It's such a small detail that was very, very important, because typically what some hunters will do is when they hop that window and start moving forward and then you lasso over that, right? Now you got to walk all the way back and then vault, which gives the cowboy more time. And that gamekeeper's patience really paid off, and it was a really good move. It was such a subtle move, but when you really look at it, you could see why he was immediately able to go back inside that arms factory, threw the cowboy off guard a little bit, and was able to he was able to counter that move. And it was such a subtle move that paid off so well in the strongest area of the map for that gamekeeper.
Very right, very right. That was a really fast catch up on that lasso right there. But we are now moving on into round 2. We can now see 2 survivors are being banned, as well as a hunter. This time we see a quite common pick on the hunter ban. It is the Bloody Queen. We already talked about this. She is currently one of the strongest hunters, if not even the strongest hunter in the game, and therefore banning her is a good chance. We can a good idea. We can see on the survivor bans seems to be a priestess, and the second survivor will be revealed in a few seconds. The map that we are going to play is help me out right there.
Red shirt.
Red shirt. It's a small picture right there, so I wasn't really... Okay, so we're gonna see the red shirt, and survivor bands are priestess and enchantress. All right, let's see. Again, we had Eternal Soul earlier winning on the survivor side. We are pretty much seeing that they banned the enchantress that has been utilized earlier. This time we don't see the enchantress, but we see the cowboy being utilized. That was also banned earlier. Now I'm extremely interested in seeing how they are going to ban, how they are utilizing the cowboy, because he was the banned survivor. I guess he must be extremely good, and I'm really curious to see what he brings to the table. And
there's a strategy with cowboy where when you're in big church, if somebody dies in the corner, not by any of the windows, but that corner, it is very difficult for a hunter to counter that with a cowboy waiting in the middle of church, because he's got 2 windows, and we saw that in the last tournament. So it's not surprising, from my perspective, to see cowboy being utilized on red church. And again, interesting bands. We got portal band, and we have enchantress band, and and I couldn't resist that. And people are gonna know what that's from. That's funny. Anyways, I like that little pat my back. Like I make a little joke, and I'm like, yeah, that's funny. Like I'm the one who's declare whether my own joke is funny.
In the back of your head, you're already, they're gonna laugh. They're gonna laugh about that. That's a good one.
Oh, it's all right. I'm not going to lie. That first round, I was a little hesitant. I was a little nervous doing this MC thing. And then I go and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to come back out. We're going to come and we're going to MC these rounds. We're going to come out and bring our flavor, bring our energy. I'm feeling good now. Going to get a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? And what we are going to see now is a good match with that Bloody Queen band. And here we are, violinist. Yes, violinist. As I predicted, pat on the back again, right? Oh my God, persuadable, stop it. what we're seeing here is Violinist is really coming to make a name for himself in tournament gameplay and being utilized. So if you don't mind, Grizzly, I would just like to explain what the position of the group is going to be and what we can expect. So this is called position group number 4. Don't be surprised if he immediately goes left. And sometimes hunters will immediately go left to the corner over there, but you got to be careful if you do that. We call that top broken or wedding broken, because if it is a mercenary, then you waste a lot of your time. And again, we're going to see where he's going to locate from or relocate to, and we see this person transitioning into Big Church. What are your eyes telling you, Boo Boo Grizzly?
Good job from circling around right there, and he found the cowboy. And I'm honestly super excited to see the Violinist right here being utilized. We didn't see him in any tournaments before, so seeing him in right now is, dude, that's gonna be interesting. Cowboy is preparing for a lasso trick right there, jumping through the window. Actually did not go through the window, was trying to juke and pretty much brought his attention back to the hunter, allowing the hunter to give him the first hit. Not bad, not bad.
I just realized that the trait for the Violinist is listen.
Oh, yeah, to really see where the survivors are.
Are they using? Oh, they using listen. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
They're using it. Right. Using it at its fullest extent, I guess. Oh, there comes the cowboy again, but luckily the hunter did not see the cowboy, luckily for the survivors, and he's now going for the mercenary, which is not really a good survivor to go for early game. Actually dashing out of sight, and this is actually putting the survivors into a really good situation, because the hunter seems to struggle to actually find any of the survivors, giving them a lot of time to decode the cipher machines.
Right, and this is one of the emergence of Violinists. Don't expect to not, that's a double negative, but expect to see Violinists being used in this tournament, especially in the later rounds. Interesting to see Violinists being used in round 2, but there are a lot of players who are trying to specialize in Violinists, especially, believe it or not, in the bigger maps. The bigger maps you're seeing a lot, especially photographer mains, utilizing Violinists. And again, this is not the last that we're going to see Violinists in this tournament. If you can get that ability down, you can do a lot of damage. You get that instant hit and really being able to follow up with that with a regular attack. And, you know, there's some disagreement between Violinists as to whether they take Seer down or Mercenary, because they feel like the Seer's Owl they can counter at various times. Good stun from Kitten. Gonna buy a lot of time for them to be able to relocate towards this Big Church.
As you just said, I am expecting to see him as well. He can be extremely dangerous. I think everyone who is watching already faced at least one good Violinist player in his life or in her life, and not gonna lie, he can be such a strong hunter. Right now, we just have to give it to Eternal Soul. They are really relocating, really good relocation of the survivors right here. That's what I want to say. We also saw that the Perfumer was healing up the cowboy, and they are already down to 2 cipher machines. Look at that one. That is already at about 70% as well. So that's gonna be a really difficult task for the hunter to actually bring down the survivors, especially if they keep doing such an amazing job relocating and circling around. What we also have to say, the Violinist was not using his ability that much during this match, and yeah, survivors are doing a good job.
See if they can get the stun here. Beautiful stun. That was a beautiful stun. And let's see where the survivors are going to relocate now towards. They are at 1 cipher, so you know these are a lot of. I believe Eternal Soul has tier 6s, and they're doing they understand how to rotate. They understand the strengths and weaknesses of this map, and they're really going to use that to their advantage. But yeah, just as you pointed out, one of the big things with Violinists is getting that skill down. The idea is that you use your skill, you get that hit, And that's really going to allow you to follow up with a regular. It's like a modified version of what we usually see with Ripper and that Foggy Blade, in the sense of the importance of hitting, or Feaster with his tentacle. And really being
Yes.
able to get that skill placement down is one of the most important parts. And again,
And I
all
just
ciphers have been decoded.
Exactly. I just want to throw to them. All cipher machines have been decoded while the hunter was trying to go to the exit gate. Sadly for the hunter, he went to the wrong exit gate, didn't find any survivors right there. They were doing a fantastic job circling around the entire map and circling to the exit gate that the hunter wasn't expecting them to go to, and therefore making this another full survivor escape, just as they showed us during the first round, giving them 5 points. Eternal Soul is right now at 5 points in the second round. This means that Coltgun needs to follow the lead of Eternal Soul. They need to get 4 survivors out of there to tie this round. If they are not able to get 4 survivors out of there, they will lose round number 2, and that will ultimately send Eternal Soul into the next bracket.
Right. So exactly. So now they have to absolutely just get one survivor out for the most part. And if they do, then that's going to be a good game, and we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we move on to the next tournament, or rather the next bracket, as you suggested. But again, we're going to have to see what they're going to utilize. Ravioli, we see, is one of the best gamekeepers in this game. And so the question is are they going to ban Gamekeeper? Are they going to go with a Bloody Queen ban? And that's one of the difficult things with specialty hunters, is that if they are good with Bloody Queen, then they immediately have a good backup. But if you block or ban their main hunter, then they have Bloody Queen available to them. In my honest opinion, Grizzly, I'd rather go against a Bloody Queen than a Dream Witch.
Oh,
Hands
that's
down.
that's a interesting statement, because I honestly agree on you with that, because I always take the terror shock early game. I really don't like to face the Dream Witch, especially if the hunter has the controls down, has the multitasking going, that you can't really do anything against her. She can put down so many leeches at the same time if she's, knowing where the survivors are, and that puts a lot of pressure on the survivor side. So I would definitely agree on you with that. But I don't really like to go against either, to be honest.
That would make sense. Most of the time we see bans with Bloody Queen because Bloody Queen is easier to use for sure and very powerful. So it's more typical for us to see on NAEU to ban Bloody Queen because there's so many people who have invested time and energy into using her. But a really solid Dream Witch player is very scary, even on a tournament level, and especially relative to the map. A Dream Witch on some of those smaller maps, including Red Church and Arms Factory, can be very, very dangerous. So the question is Ravioli going to play Gamekeeper, or does Ravioli have another hunter up their sleeve that maybe they want to show the audience, hey, I am not just a specialty hunter. I do know how to play many more. However, from my perspective, if I'm Eternal Soul, it's going to really come down to who are they going to ban. And if they don't ban Gravekeeper, Gamekeeper, then it might be easier for you to stick with what you're really, really familiar with to get a one-person elimination and to conclude this round 1 of this bracket for yourself and to move on towards tournament gameplay tomorrow. The question is Coltgun going to find a way to overcome Ravioli's hunter? And remember, Ravioli did a really good job that first round. And for any team to secure a 4-person victory can be a very difficult thing to do. It can be a very difficult thing to do because a lot of hunters, especially if they're running detention and running that trumps card and you utilize teleport, even if you have a bad game, you can usually catch up and be able to secure that 1-person elimination. So this is going to be a lot of pressure on the hunter. Or survivors. Sorry.
Survivor side. Exactly. Survivors need to get out all survivors, all team members. That's right. And honestly, after seeing the first round, I might expect. I want to make. I am placing my bets right now that they are going to ban the gamekeeper, and that we might see either another hunter or I mean, we obviously gonna see another hunter, but I might expect to see a bloody queen. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see another. I would say kind of underdog hunter. That would actually be extremely interesting to me. But it Coltgun really, really needs to turn around right here and turn everything around right there. And
I, I
full
I like how when
okay.
you're talking, you're going like this. I like it. I like it. You're petting yourself. You're thinking hard. I love it. And here we are. We're going to see a gamekeeper ban. What was your money on, Grizzly?
Exactly that. I kind of thought that would happen, not gonna lie. And we can see that we are again seeing the lawyer. Maybe we're gonna see the lawyer ban. Maybe we're gonna see a seer, a mercenary, and a mechanic ban, because they're one of the best characters on the survivor side. So what we are seeing right here is the lawyer and seer ban. I want to repeat myself right here. Ravioli only needs to get one survivor out of the game to decide this round for Eternal Soul and make this ultimately the win for this team. And it seems like we might see a guard 26, which would be a nice surprise. You already said it. You're predicting to see a bunch of guard 26 during the tournament. I would
And Gaming Grizzly, your mic is a little shoddy right now. You may want to try to readjust that, okay? And as he was saying, we got gamekeeper being banned, we got the seer and the lawyer being banned. You know what? You better fear the lawyer, boo-boo. You better fear the lawyer. That map attack. There we go. Next rap about lawyer's map. Oh, that was a good. Hey, that just worked out. And he can't even congratulate that because his mic's not working right now. And we see Bonbon. Bonbon. We're going to see how he's going to be able to utilize his Bonbon. Again, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Bonbon has really made a name for himself, especially among other tournament gameplays and other servers on these smaller maps. Bonbon is not a character that you should underestimate, and I think we all cry a little bit inside whenever, I know I do. Maybe I'm just talking about myself here, right? But I know going against a Bonbon can be a very annoying, scary thing. And it really comes down to those bomb placements. So let's see what Ravioli has in their pocket, because that is the biggest factor to this.
So can you hear me again? Is it better?
I can hear you. Now Ravioli is looking at Axe Boy. We're going to see, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about a hunter until I see which hunter this individual chooses.
Exactly. That is exactly what I was talking earlier. I was like, okay, usually in tournament situations, we're just going to see the hunter that they are picking and that's it. But they are playing with our feelings right here, showing us all
see, Ravioli feels bad for us. Ravioli's like, Persuadable been talking about that Bonbon. I need to bring the Bonbon out. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I will at least tell you the group strategies and what we're about to see in the beginning there. And then we're going to also ask Grizzly what his expert eyes, his Grizzly eyes are analyzing within this match. And here we go. We are going to call this, I believe it's a group 1 layout. So you're going to have somebody in front of them and you're going to have somebody that at Wedden. And so really what this Bonbon needs to choose is, do I go towards Wedden, which would be to the left, or do I go towards the straight area? Typically, some hunters will go straight because 2 survivors are usually over here, whereas there's only 1 towards Wed, and you go over there, and if it's mercenary, then you can waste a whole bunch of time. And let's see if they can get these bomb placements on this perfumer. Puts her perfume down. Let's see what she's able to do here. Is she able to move? He might be able to hit her with a regular attack because of that placement. And what are you seeing, Grizzly? What are your thoughts?
Good job so far from the perfumer, really avoiding these bombs. Again, with guard 26, he can really make these bombs work out for him with the, how do you like to say it, double tap bombs? Double, something double,
that
right?
1-2 tap, boo-boo.
1-2 tap, exactly. So you can see perfumer is down with another normal hit. And that's the first survivor that Ravioli will bring to the rocket chair. And we saw that Ravioli was trying to do the one tap hit with the bombs, just throwing down the first bomb, and before it explodes, throwing down another one that will hit in connection. Perfumer was really able to avoid that, but took the real hits though. There you can see protecting. Nice one. There we see what I was talking about. Good. Oh, there comes the rescue. There comes the flare gun. Survivors of the chair. Coordinator already took it with the bomb. He is still trying to get more damage with the bombs going, hitting the coordinator and concentrating on the perfumer. Again,
exactly.
Only one survivor needs to...
blink.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a very beautiful blink, and one of the things that I want to touch up on is Ravioli's ability to make sure that they took down that global portal, so they wouldn't have to worry about any sort of escape. And because he took that global portal down, he didn't have a lot of time to put down those 40-second bombs, which is a popular strategy, but not all bonbons actually use that strategy. So we see this sort of other strategy of just using the regular bombs to try to do as much damage as possible.
Job.
Yep, good job. He's trying to hit that hit.
Right,
yeah, there we go. Beautiful move from Ravioli's bonbon.
Good job. Bring down the cowboy, really protecting the perfume. Again, they only need one survivor out of the game, and that is going to happen right now. There's no one in range to rescue the perfumer. Cowboy is on the chair too, and as you already said, that was a beautiful blink, really concentrating on the perfumer because, you know, bring down the one survivor. And what we can see right here is really these one-tap bombs hitting the survivors. And let's see if he can actually hit her with the... Yeah, good job with the... What is this bomb called?
So that's the remote bomb. That's the controlled bomb. Where yeah, so that was a very good controlled motion. You throw it straight right directly there because he was able to get that hit. So he's able to get that hit and that... the regular bomb hit, and you throw your remote bomb or your controlled bomb in there, you can follow through. And really, we're seeing this bonbon use one of those strategies that we talked about before. There's two different strategies that bonbons like to use. Some prefer putting a 40-second bomb down, and other bonbons don't like doing that. And so we're seeing Ravioli's strategy here of just putting regular bombs down as the survivor comes forward.
Exactly, and he's just trying to find the last survivor. He's trying to find the coordinator. Coordinator was actually using a flare gun on the first rescue. That was giving Ravioli the chance to just bring everyone to the chair without even worrying about the flare gun. He's just trying to one-tap her again and just bring her down with a normal hit, and there it comes! Coordinator is down as well. This is another 4 survivor elimination. Most likely, yes, there we go to the rocket chair. 4 survivor elimination gives Eternal Soul another 5 points. This is pretty much 2 perfect rounds in a row for Eternal Soul. And yeah, deciding this fight between Eternal Soul and Coltgun for themselves. Eternal Soul will continue in this tournament, moving on to the next bracket. And that means Coltgun is eliminated, will not proceed during this tournament.
Eternal Soul really shows how dangerous their hunters can be in regards to using that gamekeeper as well as using that bonbon. So the question is are we going to see these hunters being selected later down the road? You got to ask yourself, did we see all of Ravioli's tools here, or did we only see a partial bit of those tools relative to what they want to show to the audience early game, right? One of the things that we need to remind, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is day 1 of the bracket. And so some of these teams that are showcased on this live feed may not want to show all of their tools right away, especially if they have that confidence to really go in there and say, all right, you know what, we're not going to show everything because we have a lot of confidence in regards to using some of these other specialty hunters that we spoke about. And we're going to go right to break. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining with us so far.
So here we are again. On my side, my co-host, my beautiful co-host, Persuable, and I am the Gaming Grizzly. We're gonna jump into the second.
No, I'm sorry, Grizzly. You said beautiful, and I was just pointing to me.
No, that's you.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm trying to be funny. No.
Yeah. No, I got that. That's okay.
I don't know. I felt like I just so there's no confusion on who you're talking about.
No. It's you. I'm talking about you. Yeah. That's just look at yourself. Just look at yourself. Beautiful
you know what's
man
funny?
over there.
Look at my beard, right? I can't get anyone to cut this thing.
I wish I had to. Don't you dare cut that.
I'm more of a grizzly bear than you.
I know, right? Dude, that's bothering me more than anything else right here.
Yeah, you know what's bothering me? This thing on my face. I want to cut.
Want to change?
Yeah, I know, right? Want to change names? Persuable. So we're going to get into the next matches in a little bit. One of the things that I want to tell ladies and gentlemen, remember, it's day one of the tournament. We got 6 days to go, and that's why we're going to have a bracket system. You're going to have your quarterfinals. You're going to have your semifinals. You're going to have your finals. And, that's a reason why we start with all the way on this side of the bracket to work our way up. I want to thank everyone who's been supporting Grizzly and I, as well as the players. Remember, it takes an incredible amount of integrity and a lot of power to really come here and put yourself in front of a live audience. And so for the people who are being encouraging for those players, I do truly appreciate that. And I really appreciate all the support that Grizzly and I are getting. It's been a very long time since I've had the ability to MC officially with NetEase. It's been a very long time. So it feels good to be back. Give me a little bit of time. My personality will come out as well, boo-boos. And I'm really excited to see what we're going to find out within the next 2 or 3 rounds between the next 2 teams. My question to you, Gaming Grizzly, you already made a bet. You made a bet and you lost. You said Bloody Queen was going to be banned and she didn't get banned, boo-boo. So my question to you, all right, in the second round, do you think that a feaster will be played?
A feaster. That's
coffee.
I don't know. It's kind of a long stretch, isn't it? Like feaster, right away we saw that Guard 26 is recently being utilized way more often, and I honestly, as sad as I am for my own prediction right here, I don't think that we're gonna see a feaster. I wish, dude. I'm super excited. It's always surprising and exciting for me to see a feaster. But honestly, seeing that Guard 26, seeing the gamekeeper, it's really interesting to see any hunter on the field right there. And we're gonna see the match between Atlas versus Caniara. I still think that I pronounced this name wrong of the team, but that's just how I pronounce it. And I'm excited to see what they bring to the table. Might be a Bloody Queen for the first round. I'm making this prediction right now the same way I made it earlier. Last time it didn't go that well. We didn't see a Bloody Queen at all. But
picks and bans should be coming in.
Yeah, for now we're just gonna see one ban. It is round number 1, and we see the Mercenary. Yep. We are playing on Sacred Heart Hospital for the first round. And Mercenary being a really, really good ban. Mercenary can be an absolute pain for the hunter right here. So banning the Mercenary is a pretty good choice. And the team that we are seeing on the Survivor side seems to be a Prisoner, a Dancer, a Priestess, and the Wildling. No Seer to my surprise. Yet again, no Seer to my surprise, even if he's not even banned.
And this is going to be on Sacred Heart Hospital. Again, we talked about this in the beginning, Grizzly. We said, listen, Mercenary, we're seeing a lot more hunters banning that Mercenary first, not always banning the Seer anymore. And a lot of hunters who ban the Mercenary are the hunters that are really good at the anti-rescue. Think of Violinist. I want you to think of Feaster. I want you to think of Bonbon. So the question is are we going to see one of them? Because a lot of those hunters have better anti-rescue potential to a degree than some of the other hunters. So we'll see how this is going to work out in the favor of the hunter. And like I said, this is a popular strategy that's being utilized more and more. And no mechanic bans as of now. I have a feeling that once we start progressing through the bracket, we're going to see a lot of that flexibility in regards to which survivors are going to be banned, especially next weekend when we start hitting the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, where we're going to see the best of the best on the server really duke it out. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning of the tournament, and I really applaud all of these survivors and these teams who have decided to put their gameplay in front of everyone. One of the questions that I did see that got asked, if I may explain it real quickly, Grizzly, is a lot of people are asking, what about the other teams? The other teams right now are probably duking it out privately, and they have to submit their data as well as the battle record to the developers and the organizers of the tournament. And so a lot of them are competing as well. We just don't have enough time to show everybody's gameplay. And again, these teams are the ones that allowed themselves to be chosen, and Blood Queen has been selected. I'm sorry about that, Grizzly. I went on a little rant there.
No, you know what? You keep going. You're gonna talk about the layout right now. Bloody Queen was banned. So what are we seeing right here?
Yep, so with this spawn, we're looking at group number 4. So it's popular exactly where this Blood Queen is going. There's 2 survivors that sometimes merge on each other, and this is what's happening, is that they're running directly towards her. However, we see a wildling has the ability to run over there, and we see the priestess running towards what we refer to as 2 pallets, since the 2 pallets is over there.
Good job from the Bloody Queen, not going for the Wildling. Wildling can be not the best find for early game. Trying to hit, and first hit on the Priestess, trying to hit the Priestess. She was able to avoid the mirror image, but was not getting away right here from the real hunter, the real deal. Now she is switching over to the prisoner, who can put a lot of decoding on this map. Going in for the mirror image.
And that's a good strategy from the Blood Queen. Blood Queen don't really want to feel like wasting a whole bunch of time. She doesn't want to waste time on a priestess that's in the strongest area of the map using those portals. They have a wildling. They're going to have slow decoding. This gives her a lot of flexibility to transition out and start to focus on the prisoner.
All right, there comes the short stun, but still allowing the hit right there. Good job from the Bloody Queen, as you already said, concentrating on one of the decoders in this team, bring down the prisoner. We have the wildling over there coming in for a rescue, trying to push away the hunter, taking the hit, rescuing, and we have Tide Turner. This will give the team an additional 20 seconds, even if the Bloody Queen hits the survivor. She's really concentrating on that hit, really wants to get the prisoner, and we can see that there is, just have to say, there is a little bit lag going on, or the wildling was just extremely slow. I don't think so.
Yeah, and right there, the best thing that was probably a good strategy would be to get out of there once somebody's Tide Turner activates. But Blood Queen was able to really maintain pressure on both of them. That's a very difficult area. That's one of the most dangerous parts of the entire game. Not even this map. That area is very difficult. Beautiful blink from the Bloody Queen.
Really good job, and also leaving the wildling on the ground, just, getting the double down, and now also bringing down the female dancer. Wildling is up again though, rescuing the prisoner. The prisoner's right there, you're right. Ooh, that means the prisoner will be sent out in a few seconds. There we go, first survivor eliminated. We have the female dancer on the chair. They are healing up over there. Yeah, they are healing up the wildling. Wildling and priestess are now inside of the hunter. She's going for the priestess again right there. Okay.
Let's see where she's going to transfer out. Priestess knows that is a strong area of the map, and that's where she's going to relocate. One of the consequences of choosing that wildling is that slow decoding speed, and what they really need to do now somehow is get down to 3 ciphers. If I was this team, what I'd probably try to focus on is trying to get one person out, but that's going to be really difficult.
Yep. Yeah, Priestess was taking it right there. trying to rescue the female dancer, was taking the hit. As you already said, they need to bring down 2 Cypher machines to now open up at least the dungeon. We saw the wildling, as I said earlier, he seemed to lag a little bit, and right now it felt like he was standing still, so there might be a little bit of a connection issue on the wildling side. We just have to say how it is. There's no way around it. Wildling is now trying to go in for the rescue, not making... Okay.
Yeah, right there, we don't know if he's lagging or most likely a little bit of lag. The thing is that the question is really what do they do going forward from here? Because once the lag started, 2 people were already down. So that's a interesting thing. But I don't know. They're going to have to take a look at that. I think it's important that we call it for what it is. It really looked like that wildling was lagging there. So it's going to be up to everybody to really figure out what their next choice is in regards to that. But again, beautiful job from the Bloody Queen. This is what we predicted. We're going to see more Bloody Queens being utilized. She's a very scary hunter. And remember, Grizzly, that was a position group number 4. And so when you spawn back in those ruins behind Shack, if you just... there's usually 2 survivors there. And it really depends if one transitions into hospital, but that wildling understood that I can run towards this area because most likely Bloody Queen's not going to go after me. What are your thoughts about the match?
Really fast-paced match. We just saw Bloody Queen really putting a lot of pressure on the survivors right there, concentrating on the right survivors as well, as you just said, ignoring the wildling early game, going for the priestess, and when she saw that the prisoner is now in range, going for the prisoner, just bringing down the decoding speed of this entire team and giving her more time to actually go for other survivors as well. Good call, good gameplay on the Bloody Queen. We also saw her using Blink, and we saw her denying the rescues of the survivors when the priestess was trying to come through for a rescue. Have to say, Bloody Queen was doing a fantastic job, and as sad as it is, it seemed like the wildling was having a little bit of connection issues, and that is just... We also have to say that she wasn't... Bloody Queen was not going for the wildling when he was standing still. So that's...
The other thing that I want to talk about with Bloody Queen, I remember when Bloody Queen, I'm acting like I'm an old man. Like, I remember back in the day when Bloody Queen...
You are an old... Wait, no.
Hey, that's true. I turned 30 this year. It's terrible. Anyway, actually, it's not. I enjoy the aging process, all right? That just lying. I had to like tweeze out like 3 gold, 3 silver. I'm getting them, man. I'm getting the gray hairs a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But when Bloody Queen got nerfed, all right, when she got nerfed, all right, where it takes 8 seconds to use the mirror, a lot of people, I remember reading the comments, etc., and people saying this isn't that big of a nerf. When you look at these spawn points, okay, this is highlighting why that 8-second change is actually really significant, because if you spawn there as a Blood Queen before that nerf, you just immediately mirror over in that general direction and boom, you got 2 people right in front of you. So that 8 seconds is actually relatively significant because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, and that's really where it comes down to. Have you memorized the spawns as a team? Do you know how to transfer out? And again, Wildling kind of ran into her a little bit, but that is also something that Wildling can get away with, so it's not atypical to see that sometimes happen with survivors, to be a little bit more aggressive. But really, that bloody Queen understood it and said, I'm not going to waste my time on this thing. I don't want to deal with that hog. Thing's ugly. It smells. I don't got all day to go against you, boo-boo. Goes immediately after the priestess. Priestess did a very good job with those portals. Made sure, avoided the initial hit, enough time to transfer close to the hospital, gets hit once, gets into the hospital, unfortunately led them towards Prisoner, and Prisoner from there, when you hop that window, very difficult for you to kite a Bloody Queen in that area as a Prisoner.
Exactly. And that's what we saw. Bloody Queen really going for the Prisoner. And as you said, difficult for the Prisoner to kite around in this area. And that is why Bloody Queen was able to actually bring down the Prisoner so fast and putting just pressure on the team and overall. So what we saw right here was a 5 survivor elimination. Now, we are changing the teams. We now have the mercenary being banned again. The survivors need to... Oh wait, the hunter needs to bring down all survivors as well and send them back to the manor to make this a tie in the first round. And on the other side, the survivors only need to get one survivor out of there. One survivor is enough to actually decide the first round for themselves. Again, mercenary is banned. We now see the seer is being utilized. We see the priestess, the perfumer, and the grave keeper right here. I'm curious to see what the hunter pick will be.
That's going to be a very, very seriously scary lineup. That's a very popular lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Bloody Queen. We'll have to wait to see what the selection is. Again, this is Sacred Heart Hospital. Generally is decided that usually this is more of a survivor-sided map. Some people disagree, and that's more than welcome. I know that I don't like going against anyone on this map unless I'm playing Bloody Queen. So I would expect to see a character like Bloody Queen, but again, we don't really know what all of these hunters are specializing in. This is the beginning of the tournament. You have a lot of teams in here. We have like 42, 43 teams. A lot of the teams have various skilled survivors and hunters, various tiers as well. And that's the entire purpose of this tournament. Is it's day one. You're going to see different skill sets with different hunters, different selection rates. And this is what we're going to see. It's actually going to be very surprising if we see any curveballs, which we already did, where we see Gamekeeper being utilized as much as what we did in that first round. But of course, that's going to make sense when you have a hunter who specializes in it. And that's one of the nice things about this tournament, is that we get to grow with these teams. As these teams advance, we get to understand what are they good at, what are their selection habits. And again, this is a very, very scary survivor comp for these for this hunter. And again, we're going to see if we're going to have a Bloody Queen being utilized on this map.
Exactly, we are still waiting, and there we can see it actually is Anne right here. That's gonna be interesting. I honestly love to see the cats, and we are jumping into this match. I would love to give over to you yet again to
I was gonna say
layout real quick.
And I did not expect that. You get the pun? It was awful. Here we go. Group 4 all over again. Same exact. I feel like you're laughing because you feel bad about me, and I welcome that.
No, absolutely not.
All right, let's see. And interesting to use those cats right away. Going to see who's going to be up there. What we saw with that Blood Queen is they immediately juke towards that right where there's two survivors. And where Anne is walking towards, unfortunately, there's not going to be any survivors that spawn on this aspect of the map. There's usually somebody that spawns in the front of hospital gate, somebody in hospital, and then two people to the side where we saw Bloody Queen. So there's nobody that spawns on this side of the map, unfortunately, unless people rotate here, which sometimes a player will rotate into this area, which is something that maybe the hunter was anticipating. But let's see what she's going to do now. She's going to release these cats, and let's see if she can bite any of them.
She's trying to utilize the skill right here, and this actually gave the survivor a lot of time, the survivor team a lot of time to decode cipher machines. You can see the team really communicating right there, telling each other how far they are with the cipher machines. And she kind of lost the survivor right here, standing right at the cipher machine as well. This is giving the survivors a huge advantage. This is giving the survivors a lot of time to actually bring down more cipher machines. She's trying to circle around, trying to find someone who might, as you said, transition to these cipher machines. But the survivors didn't do that. They didn't go to any of these cipher machines. And as you can see, they are getting a lot of decoding done right here thanks to that.
Absolutely. They're down to 3 ciphers here. She did carry teleport. And one of the good things about carrying teleport that we didn't really see utilized right here, but if you do get lost and you don't know where the survivors are, you can wait for wiggling. But I'm not sure if it's my stream, but it does look like there's moments where she's really, really slow. And the question is she unfortunately lagging as well? Again, I want to keep it real. I want to keep it real with the viewers. I don't want to hide that. She's slow on my screen. And so it looks like she, like
Same
right
here.
there, right? Yeah, you see that
Yeah.
as well. And I'm not going to hide behind anything. I'd rather call it like it is. That's what people know me for. And it seems like she's lagging pretty tremendously here.
That is a lot of lag that is going on right there, and that's not happening only once. We saw it with the wildlings, so seeing these portals being utilized as well to get away from the hunter. Good job, good portal placement. Hunter could not find the priestess could not find any of the survivors, is ignoring the portals as well, and we can see the survivors are now down to one cipher machine already. They are decoding on cipher machine. There we go. They're decoding over there together. 62%. That means that they might be able to bring down the cipher machine quite fast. Hunter is now using the ability, trying to, put pressure on the survivor side. Not getting any of these.
So you see that rotation, what this priestess is doing. She's trying to get this Anne to move away from the cipher, and they're going to finish that cipher up. And then what they need to do is they really need to anticipate the hit right at the right moment. One of the strategies, depending on their build, throw the pallet down, get hit, and then pop the cipher and then hop the pallet, and then you'll have the ability to get that double boost. And it looks like she may set that up here.
We all,
Yep.
No,
Here we
we
go.
also see the seer. We also see the seer right there, just charging up another owl, just sitting right there. Oh, nice chew. There we go. There comes the cipher machine. Should pop right there, and everyone is rotating away from this exit gate. We see the tension is going on. I want to say this again. They need to get at least one survivor out of there to win the first round right here. And so far, it looks pretty much like they're gonna get one survivor at least out of the gate, because bring down all 4 survivors end game, that's gonna be extremely difficult.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen though. These survivors are doing a really good job with their rotations, and Anne is trying her best to get these cats going, but they're doing a decent job at being able to avoid them. This seer probably has an additional owl. Oh no, he does not have an additional owl actually. So what he's going to have to do is try to buy as much time for one of the survivors to at least get out of there. And again, Sacred Heart can be a little bit difficult for slow-moving hunters such as Anne. It can be very difficult, and that's why we usually see Bloody Queen being utilized over here. Now look at Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper's going to dig and body block.
And
so he's going to try to body block.
There's also another already. Yeah. So that's going to be
and that's good.
A 4 survivor escape.
Absolutely.
And that means another 5 points to this team right here. They are deciding the first round for themselves with 2 5-point matches. Good job. Great, great hunter. When we saw the Bloody Queen, she was really going the right routes, going for the right survivors. And we can see the same thing on the survivor side. They knew what they were doing. They were splitting up. They were decoding cipher machines as long as they had the chance to. And cipher pop was happening in a good way. It's just difficult to catch up to these good survivors too.
And what you're really seeing, and I'm just going to be honest with my analysis, what you're really seeing right there is the difference between a hunter that had that good rotation versus a hunter that took a gamble on the other rotation and the consequences of that. And that's just the reality of the game. That's the reality of these sort of matches when you play these hunters, is that one of the best things for you to do is to rotate towards the survivors that spawn in clusters. The route that Anne went, there is actually a survivor that spawns there. All right, this is called Group 4. So if all of the ladies and gentlemen who are watching what's going on, boo-boos, I love you. I don't even care if I'm off script. I love you guys. If you guys are watching and you're on your phones, you can check these custom matches and the map layouts when I'm using these numbers. And that was group number 4. And where that Anne was rotating, there is a survivor that spawns over there, but because it's in the front of hospital, when you're a survivor, you don't really know if they spawn what we call kind of like that no man's land where that dungeon can spawn, or you don't know if they spawn in the back of shack. So it's not atypical to see a survivor transition towards hospital, because if you transition towards shack and they spawn at Big Statue, okay, that's where the Bloody Queen went, you'll be in serious trouble. So when Anne rotated into that direction, which, there's a gamble because if they run towards Shaq, that's a good move for the Anne. Unfortunately, the survivor made a good movement predictor and decided to get the heck out of there. And Anne decided to rotate around that map, and it took them a very long time. And also, the survivors didn't rotate into what we call forest area or 2 pallets. And because they decided not to do that, Anne didn't run into them there. So excellent rotation skills from the survivors and their ability to adapt to the movements of the hunter. And I am so sorry if I talk too much.
Yeah, I just like we are told to jump into another break right here, another 5 minute break before we jump into round 2. But great analysis, just giving a little bit of a overview what happens right there, and we will see you guys in about 5 minutes.
Love you.
All right, so that was the first round for Atlas versus Caniara. And so far, we can see that Atlas was deciding round number 1 for themselves. Let's see what we can expect in round number 2. We're gonna have a Hunter ban. And what do you think will be banned? Do we see the Bloody Queen banned since she was performing pretty well? Or do you think they're gonna, you already said it, these teams, they have time to study each other. They have time to look into the opponent's main characters. Do you think they're gonna ban something else? Or do you think they're gonna ban the Bloody Queen? I can't hear you right now. Maybe it's just me.
It's because I had myself muted. I would do that. Good. I was like, I better mute myself, but I forgot to unmute myself. Good call out, Grizzly. Look at that. Beautiful call out. I genuinely think that Bloody Queen is going to be banned. The real question is the next round, are we going to have an and ban? That rhymed. Thank you. Are we going to have a ban of ban?
That might be happen, but we just saw the survivors are pretty... I mean, they can go into this round with a lot of confidence, even facing an Anne, because they just realized, okay, we saw an Anne, we know how to counter her, we know how to outplay her as well. So it worked once. Why should it not work twice? So maybe they're gonna plan the Bloody Queen again, just banning the Bloody Queen and allowing the Hunter to pick Anne again.
Right. I think the question also has to come down to what was going on with that Anne. I mean, we did see some slow movements, let's call it for what it is. We did see some slow movements there. So you got to ask about that connection component to it. So, and that's very important too in regards to talking about these strategies and talking about these players. It's day one of the tournament. This is how it's going to work out for a little bit. And as the tournament progresses, you're going to see the teams who are winning, just like you see in every tournament, progress. And as we get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, other finals, you're going to see a little bit more of that gap sort of deteriorate a little bit. This is what happens in most tournaments out there. And what we're seeing right now, again, is because when we talk about these hunters, who are we going to see? There's a lot of diversity within the beginning of the bracket because you have a lot of specialty hunters that focus on the hunters they're comfortable with. Whereas in the higher tiers, you're going to see more of those Blood Queen and Dream Witches. So the question is that in the next round, are we going to see Anne be utilized? Do you ban Anne, or do we do exactly what you just said and have confidence that you're going to be able to kite the Anne? And again, it's going to come down to that connection as well. And we do have Moonlit River Park that's been selected. And just like I predicted, Blood Queen is banned. Take it over, Grizzly.
Exactly, that's right. We have the Bloody Queen ban. Bloody Queen is one of the hunters that can travel far distance with her mirror really fast, and so banning her makes a lot of sense. And we just saw how Atlas is utilizing the Bloody Queen, so yeah, it was predictable. We can also see that the Seer and the Priestess are banned. Priestess most likely because she is a great character to travel fast on this map. Seer because you can just, bring a lot of kiting time to a survivor with the owl, rescuing a survivor and allowing him to basically take a hit. And on the survivor side, we can see Gravekeeper, Perfumer, Prisoner, and Mercenary being utilized. I am curious to see what the Hunter pick will be this time. Bloody Queen is banned.
Large map. I wouldn't be too surprised if we have a Hunter that has good map presence. And Priestess ban on this map makes a lot of sense. You got a Priestess on 2-story. There's actually a really good loop that you can do if you have your portals available. That wastes a lot of time from the Hunter. So that makes sense for them to ban the Priestess. We have a Seer ban. And Moonlit River. With this sort of map, I wouldn't be surprised to see, a Wu Chang, one of those longer range sort of map presence characters. Some characters actually some people prefer violinists, anti-rescue strategies, forcing the survivors to really relocate around the map. We're going to really have to see what the survivor, or rather what the hunters are going to choose for this long-range sort of big map. But it makes sense to get rid of that Priestess so you don't got to deal with the portal.
Exactly. So we are just waiting here for the Hunter to take a pick on the Hunter side. I'm not sure if the survivors see the hunter pick as late as we do, so maybe, or no, they don't even see, dude, I'm a little bit confusion. We are the only ones who see what they are picking.
So typically in tournaments, survivors will select, and then they do know the hunter that they're going against before the so they don't know the hunter before the character selection, but they pick the characters, and then the hunters pick right after, and usually survivors know what the hunter is before going in.
So now we're gonna see another Anne right here.
There we go. And this is going to be on Lakeside. And so we're going to see what the position is. We see that this is going to be in a position on Moonlit River. This is what we call two-story. And this is going to be group 3. And typically they like to either come here or first stop. But typically they like to go towards what we call working carousel. So they don't have to worry about first stop and that roller coaster that can be activated.
Good dodge from the prisoner right there, avoiding the cats. Anne is going for the perfumer though. Is there a perfume coming in? Oh, nice instant perfume. Getting the damage reversed, and now trying to kite around the hunter, trying to give the team more time to decode. We have to say, good. There comes the cat, not hitting the cat. Oh,
did she get that hit?
Nice,
oh, beautiful.
Nice juke.
Well, that might have been purposely done by the Anne, though. She may have purposely juked that to miss it to trigger that perfume. That is a strategy that you see, especially among geishas. You swing to the side at the last second to activate the perfume, and then you wait out the 8 seconds. So I'm not sure if that was intended, but let's see where she's gonna go. She gets it, gets the stun, and gets that first hit on the perfumer.
Good job.
Have they been using the in-game chat? Yeah, they are. I just haven't been paying attention. So we see that one of the Cypher machines is at 77%, and this Anne is going to have to...
Oh, that's a mind game. That is a mind game right there.
That is a mind game.
Teleporting back?
No, she's not going to teleport back. No, she got a good distance on that Anne. One of the things Anne could try to do is put those cats in the bottom of the slide and then try to stun her, but to do that on a perfumer it can be a little difficult. It's a mind game from both players.
Alright, there was the prisoner. It might have been a good idea to go for the prisoner since he's bringing a lot of decoding, but perfumer already took a hit, so Anne really wants to get the perfumer down, get the first survivor on the rocket chair. You can already see the 2 Cypher machines have been decoded. Good job on the survivor side. We can see the prisoner is decoding another Cypher machine, halfway done already. And let's see if Anne just, can catch up right there. Taking the pallet, good stun from the perfumer, really allowing the survivors to decode the Cypher machines. Dungeon is right here as well.
It makes sense that the Anne decided to continue going after the perfumer. She's already injured. She has no more perfumes left. And to relocate on the prisoner would have been very difficult, because now you have to relocate and get 2 additional hits on top of that. And really, that prisoner though, that passive ability to, well, it's an active ability where you put that thing down and now she has to take that down. It gave a lot of time for perfumer to really move forward and move away from Anne, just enough time. And let's see where
missing the cats right there, really trying to get the perfumer. We can see that Anne is still, actually hit the window right there. We can see that Anne is still slowing down every now and then, might be a little bit of a leg spike happening. She is really concentrating on that perfumer. You can see that 1 Cypher machine is getting popped right now. We are down to 1 Cypher machine. Oh, that was a hit with the cat. But can Anne actually make it, destroying the pallet and giving the hit? First survivor down. Cypher machine is not primed yet, which means the perfumer is the first survivor on the rocket chair in this match.
Well, we're not, and one of the things that we're not really seeing too much of is the cats with using the cross or whatever it's called to reposition them. We haven't really seen that being used too much by this Anne yet. So let's see what they can do here. Can they prevent this?
Trying to wait it out. Alright, great rescue, taking the hit right there, getting the perfumer off the chair. Not really sure how far the decoding is going on. Taking the hit.
They're gonna pop that. That's done.
Yeah. Good job. They had that. Really
that was a good job from the mercenary as well, because what he did is he absorbed both of those cats. Usually when you're an Ann, what you try to do is you send those cats out, and then you hit them once, but before you hit them, you bring the cats back so they get stunned for that second hit. But it's difficult to pull that off of a mercenary, because mercenary can at least get hit twice. You'd have to somehow terror shock, and that kind of makes it difficult for you to use your second ability. So good move from the mercenary, absorbing both of those cats, though.
Yep. And we can see Anne really trying to track down that survivor, trying to track down the perfumer. What she wants to do is she wants to bring down at least one survivor. This is a point game. If they're getting out 4 survivors, they are getting 5 points, and that would be extremely dangerous for the team right here. But bring down the perfumer might actually get 1 survivor out of the game, giving AT only 3 points, making it easier for the next round to, okay, there we go, making it easier for them to, catching up.
It's good that Ann was able to at least secure a 1 kill. You don't want to go into that second round with 5 points against you, so at least getting 1. We talked about that earlier, about how difficult it can be to really secure a 4-man escape, especially in the tournament gameplay here. So you can see 7 pallets destroyed, 6 strikes, and we really see that Gravekeeper. That's a lot of decode, and especially for a character that has a decode and debuff. So more of a passive role from Gravekeeper, but really you have to be able to recognize your role even as a character that may be primarily rescue. So it's good that Gravekeeper stayed focused, had a lot of confidence within that mercenary to go in for the rescue. It's not atypical to see characters who utilize Gravekeeper and forward and a lot of those stun characters that really, after finishing a cipher, gets off there to harass, and it actually takes a lot of skill for you to know your position and role and say, although that is something that my character can do, that's not something that I'm going to do this round because they don't need me to do it.
Exactly. And we can also see the perfumer just having almost 200 seconds of kiting, really allowing every other teammate to, as you said, decode, especially the Gravekeeper. We saw a great rescue from the mercenary coming in, absorbing the cats, as you already mentioned, taking the hit again. Cypher pop happened, really allowing every single survivor to, relocate to the exit gates and allowed them to open up the gates. Perfumer late game was still taking the attention of Anne and allowing the rest of the team to go through the gate while Anne was concentrating on the perfumer. As luckily for Anne, she was able to get that 1 survivor down, because now it's not as much pressure as before when they would get 5 points. They still need to get at least, wait, give me a second right here. 3 survivors out of there. They need to get 3 survivors out of there in the next match, else it will not be a tie and they won't have the chance to actually get into round 3.
Right. Nope, that's absolutely correct. And we're going to see if they can do it right now. And one of the things I'm excited about is I really want to see the mindset of these teams. Are you going to ban Anne? Only because that's the preference of the hunter that played in the last, two matches ago.
Give me a moment. I think you're mixing it up right now. We just saw the end user from the match before using the N again. They banned Bloody Queen. They banned. That's what I meant earlier. They banned Bloody Queen because they already faced Anne and they were like, we are confident to go against Anne again, and that's exactly what happened. We see it right here. 3 survivors out of there. Yeah, just to get things right. No worries.
All right. So the question is what map is going to be? This is the second round, so it's going to still be Moonlit, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's still going to be Moonlit. Okay. And we're going to see if they're going to utilize a character such as Wu Chang, or who do you expect to be banned, Grizzly, for a hunter?
Obviously, Bloody Queen. Bloody Queen was utilized in the first match. They got a 5-point game for survivor elimination with the Bloody Queen. So I predict that we're gonna see the Bloody Queen being banned. And as you just said, they probably choose a hunter that is having a lot of presence overall and like on the map, and Wu Cheng would be a good pick. You're very right. We might see that. Yeah, let's just.
Feaster?
Feaster is so fast. He's so fast. He might be the perfect pick because
yeah. Woo.
how fast he can go on the map, dude. Yeah, that's Feaster is especially good on yeah. No, I wish, but probably not.
One thing that the Hunter decided to do very well that match, though, is that remember that's a group 3 spawn point. So when you spawn in that double story, you have 2 people by first stop. We call first stop where that roller coaster is spawned. You have 2 people over there, and then you have 2 people who are over by working carousel. So no matter which direction you go, you're going to run into 2 survivors who spawn relatively close to each other. And with that sort of spawn point, it's not atypical for hunters to go directly across what we call rocket chair bridge or 2-story bridge, because there's 2 bridges, right? And to go over towards working carousel because you really don't want to have to deal with that roller coaster and that one stop. You hit them once to hit the roller coaster, and now you have to relocate all the way to the other side, especially if somebody hits that button. It's not atypical for very advanced teams. When they spawn in that area, the second person runs immediately over to roller coaster, hits the button, and if you go towards fourth stop, they're going to be towards third stop. And so that's why a lot of hunters just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather go towards working carousel and go after the 2 survivors that are there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we just saw there. And I mean, it was a good job from Anna right there, concentrating on that one survivor, really getting the perfumer down, making her use all of the perfumes and then bringing her to the chair. The rescue happened from the mercenary, but Anne was still concentrating on the perfumer, knowing that it's better to get at least one survivor out of there to get 1 point and to give the opponent's team 3 points instead of giving them 5 points. That's quite crucial for proceeding. And, it's just so difficult to actually counter a match in which 4 survivors were already eliminated or 4 survivor escaped, because that's just putting pressure on either the survivor or the hunter to actually make another 4K or 4 survivor escape happening. And I am curious to see if they can turn it around, if they can actually get 3 survivors out of there as well, or if the hunter is preying down these survivors. I'm honestly curious to see which hunter we are seeing right now, because again, Bloody Queen will most likely be banned. That's what I'm expecting. So yeah, looking forward to the match.
I don't think I should make a prediction because I already confused the teams. I'm not doing it. My confidence is just not there.
I know that you're predicting the Wu Cheng anyway. You said it. You said that Wu Cheng. No. Okay.
It's not. No.
Tell me.
I don't know. I don't know enough about these hunters and survivors who are playing today. But one of the things in regards to when you're talking about Moonlit River is, again, those maps are so large. You gotta at least come out with a hunter that's really against the anti-rescue, or you gotta find a hunter that has a lot of map presence and their ability to run around. But one of the things that we should remember is that Perfumer is a very scary character. When you put Perfumer in the right hands, it can be very, very hard to go against those sorts of players, and that's why Perfumer's utilized. And for Anne to go against that Perfumer did do a good job with those perfumes, and that really extended that kite to about 200 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. So we're going into the pick and bans for this round. 1 hunter, Bloody Queen, as we predicted it. Bloody Queen will be the banned hunter. On the survivor side, we are going to see the Priestess and the Mercenary. Also kind of predictable picks. Priestess can really put down portals and kite around very long. Mercenary, great rescuer. We just saw in the match before, Mercenary is coming through, rescuing the Perfumer. We can see on the survivor side, it's a Wildling. Oh, we might see the Violinist. That could be interesting. On the survivor side, it is Wildling, Prisoner, Gravekeeper, and another survivor that will be revealed in a few seconds.
Violinist, though, this is not, like I said, a lot of Dancer. There we go. Like I said, a lot of hunters are really experimenting with that Violinist. We're seeing more and more hunters trying to utilize that Violinist. Violinist has really good anti-rescue potential, especially if you can get your skill off in time, you cancel the rescue, and you're able to go and follow up with a regular hit, which is actually going to be changing a tiny bit on Wednesday, because even though it gets canceled, you'll immediately be able to hit that button without that little delay. So we got to ask ourselves, what is that anti-rescue going to look like after Wednesday's update? But until then, Violinist has really good anti-rescue strategies and good at anti-chitin strategies. And what we see the Violinist doing here is something very important. Get rid of the mercenary, because if I kill somebody on one side of the map, you no longer have elbow pads to help you get there, so you already need to be in position, which can sometimes require you to get off your cipher that you spawn at. And also, if you remove Priestess, you don't have to worry about the global portal, which means that you really can focus on trying to double up and get that sort of anti-rescue ability with yours. And also, if they use Seer and use an Owl and you get really good at using your ability, it's going to cancel that out, but we don't see a Seer being utilized currently. So this is a very good selection from Eddie, and we're going to have to see how this works in their favor on Moonlit River in their anti-rescue, anti-chitin strategies.
I couldn't agree more. And you already said it about the patch that is coming on Wednesday. We definitely have to talk about this more as soon as it happens, because that will affect a lot of survivors, a lot of hunters. And we are jumping into the match right here. Tell us a little bit about the spawn.
Yep, so this is called Group 5 spawn. Usually people like to go towards tent. There's a lot of hiding room over here, but he does have I think he has peepers, which would help him. But if he doesn't go towards tent, then he can go towards what right here we call Cipher Bridge. So that's why a lot of hunters come over here, because you have tent and then you have Cipher Bridge. And it seems like, wow, that survivor was actually able to hide.
That was sneaky, yeah, but then... Yeah.
Oh, beautiful move, beautiful ability to utilize that.
Really putting pressure on the Coordinator right here. Coordinator going down, getting hit by the hunter. That was a really nice use of his skill, getting the first hit, and right there we have the Coordinator on the chair.
We'll see who's gonna go in for this rescue. He has that tinnitus activated, so if he puts a peeper down right there, he's gonna be able to see if anyone is at 2-story, which he can probably see with that peeper, which is where that tinnitus is activating, who's waiting for him. Question is when is Coordinator going to utilize that flare gun on the first rescue or second rescue?
Good job not using it and wasting it early game. That was a good call from the Coordinator. We can see the Gravekeeper is coming in for the rescue, was waiting a little bit. So now we can see that Coordinator cannot get on the chair again, because else she would be out of the game. Oh, that's putting pressure on the rescue. Oh, taking that hit right there.
There we go.
Fantastic usage of the skill.
That was that's what we were talking about, that anti-rescue, especially the anti-kite ability that Violinist has. And you know, people have been practicing this and getting better and better at being able to predict those sorts of movements. You know, there's a lot of debate as to whether you should use your flare gun on the first kite. And a lot of coordinators will, because they understand that on a big map like this, that early game kite is so important, so you can have people continue decoding. And Violinist just did a really good job at being able to predict the movements, and was able to predict her movements and follow up with a hit. And let's see what Dancer can do. Dancer gets that boost. Remember when she drops down.
Yeah, trying to shoot the hunter right here, trying to make her way to the rescue anyway, but already took the first hit, taking the second hit right here, going down. Gravekeeper is halfway on the chair right there, and I don't think that the prisoner is able to actually rescue the Gravekeeper. He said, "Don't move, I'm coming," which probably means that he might go for... Oh, wait. No, he rescued the Gravekeeper right there.
Yep, he got the rescue in time. They the best that they can do right now is if they get 3 people to somehow escape, they would tie with the tournament bracket the way that it is. So if one person's eliminated, then we see that Atlas is automatically going to proceed to the next round. Look at that.
Canceling the rescue. Good job, good job.
This violinist is literally hitting every single, I think almost every one. Yeah. In regards to that skill. Much. Beautiful skill.
There we go. Female Dancer is down. As you already said, they need to get all 3 survivors that are still in the game out of there. As soon as the Dancer hits the rocket chair, though, she will be out of the game because she was already... Right, she was already over halfway. And... Oh, no, she wasn't. She wasn't. And
that was a successful rescue. They did a good job with that. And
Prisoner's getting on the chair for the first time. Gravekeeper is pretty far away. Not really sure if he is able to rescue both survivors. Female Dancer is almost out of the game right here. He is concentrating on decoding. It seems like he missed the calibration over there. We can see Eddie just pretty much...
Right now they need to try to focus on the rescues, because even if they open up this over here, they need 3 survivors to escape. So this will be... so this solidifies Atlas moving on to the next round, and let's see how the rest of this match is going to play out for the survivors and Hunter.
You can see that the Gravekeeper is circling around, but the prisoner is the Gravekeeper is not able to rescue the prisoner right here. Eddie trying to find the Gravekeeper. The only chance for the Gravekeeper to actually get out of there is through the dungeon. He still has 1 shovel left. He can still use his ability once. But it seems like Eddie already found him.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult for him to know exactly where that is, because he is the one that finished that last cipher. Well, yeah, to get the 3. So he's taking a gamble hoping that it's over here, but not much you can do in that sort of situation. We'll see if Violinist can catch up to him.
And there comes the hit. He's trying to get away. The dungeon is not here. He can't go through the dungeon yet. Probably using the skill to slow him down.
Now, shout out to the Gravekeeper though. He's trying. He really is, and I can appreciate that effort.
Oh, nice dodging the ability.
Yeah, she gonna... Violinist is gonna catch up.
Dungeon is right there. Yeah. He found the dungeon, but the Hunter was able to catch up enough to actually bring down the Gravekeeper before going through the dungeon, making this most likely a 4 survivor elimination if he's able to bring
I like this Gravekeeper though. This Gravekeeper is not surrendering. Like, I'm gonna wiggle all the way until the end of this match. I got respect for that. Gravekeeper, you got my respect for that. You did not give up. You're like, I don't care. I'm gonna try to wiggle out until I'm eliminated. Good for you.
I have to give it to the violinist. He was really, really great with his skill. He was almost hitting all of his connected music dots that he's putting down, damaging a lot of survivors, bringing down the coordinators super fast. We can see it right here. There was not a lot of time for the survivors to decode. Almost none of the survivors were able to decode more than 100%. Kiting times at top 54 seconds for the Gravekeeper. There was just a lot of pressure from the violinist on this team right here, especially with these hits from the skill. Great job.
Violinist right here showed how dangerous a violinist can be, and we will see more violinists in this tournament. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm calling it now. I wouldn't be surprised if I see violinists in the finals. I'm not saying as a first or second pick, but very well it could be a 3rd, 4th pick. Especially in finals when we have 5 rounds instead of 3.
Yeah.
But violinist is really showing that sort of a reason why you use the violinist, especially with the ability to ban 2 survivors. And you're talking about banning banning Priestess and banning Mercenary. That really ruins the ability for somebody to relocate from one side of the map to the other. So the violinist understood the strengths of this character on that map, as well as understanding which survivors can counter violinists, or at least give the violinist a little bit of a headache. So I agree with the bans, and the violinist really did a decent job. Or actually, not even a decent job, did an excellent job at hitting pretty much every single ability. I mean, it was pinpoint. I think they may have missed, one or two? I don't even know, but it was remarkable.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I think he missed one at the end against the Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper was doing a good job, really trying to get out of there, trying to make his way to the dungeon, avoiding his skill. But after all, as you just said, violence can be extremely dangerous, can be extremely powerful, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him during the final day as well. And what we just saw during our matches in today's in the first day of this tournament is that Eternal Soul will proceed into the next bracket as well as Atlas.
Right. And
right here we can see it.
Sorry, keep going.
No, yeah, right here you can see Eternal Soul really deciding the first 2 rounds. Same thing with Atlas, deciding the first 2 rounds right away, and allowing him to go on to proceed to the next bracket. Congratulations to those. Congratulations to dude. Can you say something, please?
Congratulations to both Eternal Soul and Atlas for being able to make it to the next round. They were really able to show their abilities. Remember, this is tournament day 1, and we got another 5 days to go. And as the bracket continues to move forward, you're going to see more of those close matches. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you all. I see the chat as well. That's going to happen with these tournaments. And as the tournament progresses, we're going to see, obviously, the teams who are winning being able to compete against each other. And you're really seeing how dangerous a team can be when you have a really good hunter who understands the spawn points, or survivors who have that idea and that notion of how to rotate. And there's going to be some other things that we're going to also have to figure out, because remember that wherever this is being hosted at, that's the ping that we're seeing. So we may see a little bit of sputtering that the players aren't actually experiencing. And that's where it's difficult for us to understand. Is that because of the ping that's being broadcasted to us, or is that what they're experiencing? But what I can tell you is that I really think these teams, for having the ability to come out here and put themselves out on live feed, that is no easy task. It is a daunting task, because you're putting your skill set for everybody to observe. It is not an easy thing to do. And I really congratulate and appreciate all these players for having that integrity and the ability to put themselves out there, because there's a lot of players that don't, and a lot of players that wouldn't. And in my mind, all of you who decided to go out there and show your gameplay today, hopefully there's a lot that you can learn from this to continue to strive to improve. But my hat is off to you, because you decided to come on here and show your gameplay, and that is a daunting task, and I congratulate you for doing so. And I hope all of the players who are competing currently right now, they can look at this tournament and they can say, how can I improve?
I can only agree on that. It's just like super, super impressive to be on the tournament. It's stressful. It is putting a lot of pressure on everyone who is taking part, especially if this is live streamed to thousands of people watching it, spectating you while you are performing. So shout out to all the teams that are taking part right here. And you mentioned it. We see this in other tournaments. During the first few days, there's always a little bit of a bigger skill gap. We saw it in this tournament. We saw it in the Call of the Abyss tournaments. And as further we progress to the final day, the skill gap just closes, and we can really see these teams go against each other, giving nothing to the opponent's team. So I just want to say congratulations to all teams that are taking part. And for today, congratulations to Eternal Soul as well as Atlas for proceeding into the next bracket. And this is pretty much the end of day 1. We're going to have a total of 6 days. I'm super excited to have Persuable on my side for the next, for the next 2 days and on the next weekend, of course. For now, this concludes today's live stream right here. Do you want to say anything? I want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. I love you all. And that's it for us.
The one thing that I want to say is to all of the survivors and hunters who played today, I don't want you to be discouraged. I want you to continue practicing. I want you to learn from this. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. It was my privilege and pleasure to cast all of the players who specifically played today, because you gave it your best. And regardless of anything, no one can take that away from you. And you're winners in my book for going out there and putting yourself on display. And I appreciate that for the opportunity to be here. And I'm looking forward to the progress of this tournament bracket and the teams that are playing within them. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye from me.
Hope you have a great night.